Nonverbal and group communication is a crucial skill for chaplains. There have been numerous studies on the subject over the years, but perhaps the most well-known research on nonverbal communication was done by Dr. Mehrabian in the 1960s. Experts agree that 70 to 93% of all communication is in fact nonverbal. What has happened to our ability to communicate in this digital age of texting, emailing, and mask wearing? Certainly, communication hasn't improved. Rather, it's become less effective and even more divisive. We chaplains must work hard to communicate effectively so that we can reach shared understanding. And because the majority of communication is nonverbal, what do you say to people in your facial expressions, hand-arm positions, your posture, and the environment that's created in your own workspace? What does your office or your living room communicate to people who meet with you in your own setting? Do you notice when people cross their arms over their chest and understand that this might mean a closed mind or a defensive position? Do you do this when you talk, or are your arms open, relaxed, calm? Do you lean forward, hands, fingers extended, as if conveying a sense of urgency that the person simply must listen to what you have to say? Or do you sit back, relaxed, inviting them to tell you all about what they're going through and experiencing? Do you create space and extend invitation nonverbally for them to tell you their story? Does your facial expression tell them that you're interested, curious, engaged, caring? Or do you appear anxious, angry, clearly disagreeing with what they just said? Please pay attention to these things because they close doors to communication. A valuable skill to practice every day is something we like to call the art of the smile. How do you know if you're smiling enough? Well, you'll begin to see laugh lines appearing here in the corners of your eyes and your lips as well. If you do not have these lines yet, you need to practice smiling more. This is an especially valuable skill when you're dealing with the elderly and those who have memory issues. Think of it this way. When a family member hands you a baby and you're going to hold that baby, what do you do? Well, typically, we hold the child so that they're facing us, close to our face. We move closer so that they can focus. Then we lift up our eyebrows. We increase the size of our smile. Our eyes twinkle with loving acceptance, and we say, "Hello, baby," with our mouth open. Sometimes we just open our mouths, emphasizing the hi sound. Often we're rewarded with a smile from that baby. This form of nonverbal communication is hardwired into each of us from birth. These nonverbal gestures demonstrate this person cares. I am loved. I am accepted. This is family. I can trust this person. I know this person. You apply that same technique with the elderly person suffering dementia, living in a skilled care facility, wheelchair-bound. They can't remember their children's names anymore. You approach slowly from the front and get down on a knee. You make eye contact and they stare at you in confusion. But you've practiced the art of the smile. And you do exactly what you would do for that new baby. You don't say anything, but you put that expression on your face. Perhaps you might sing your introduction instead of saying it. And you extend your hands to them in a familiar gesture with that smile on your face. And now watch them as their facial expression changes. This nonverbal tells them, I know this person. I am loved by this person. I am safe with this person. I'm glad to see this person. This is family. And a positive encounter takes place without the need for words. Nonverbal communication is crucial, and you need to practice it in the mirror. Pay attention to what your face is telling people when it's parked in its neutral position. Some of you need to convince your face that you like people. What do you need to change in your expressions, your hand motions, your body language? Chaplains are experts in communication. That includes nonverbal. And since more than 70% to 90% of it is nonverbal, you simply must pay attention to this and improve your skill at inviting people into relationship without the use of words. As experts in communication, we must also learn how to bring people together in group settings, which also involves nonverbal. So let's transition a bit into the subject of effective group dynamics and communication. As chaplains, you'll often find yourself participating in group meetings. These can be with the interdisciplinary team or the staff members in your setting. It could be with family of the patient or client, with groups of clients, with church small groups, and others. Now, the stages of group communication is important to understand, especially regarding the forming of a group of people who is expected to function as a team. Be sure to read the PDF included in your material. It's Bruce Tuckman as he explains the stages of group development and communications, which is forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. Those are the stages of a group. Every group has a beginning, and everyone has an ending. The beginning is caused by a need for the group to come together for a particular purpose. The ending comes when the purpose has been completed, or maybe the members have just left. And every time a group has a change in members, these stages will begin anew. Forming is where people come together for a stated purpose with an objective to accomplish. In storming comes the inevitable conflict that's caused by the clash of personalities, ideas, approaches, and even dislikes of individual members. Every new group will experience some amount of conflict during this phase as people express their ideas and they jockey for position within the group. Two alphas, for example, may experience conflict with each other as they're trying to jockey for the primary leadership role of the team. Depending on the type of group, this phase can last months, days, or even weeks. In norming comes the normalizing of relationships, expectations, positions within the group, contributions of individual members. No group is able to accomplish very much until the stage is worked through. As chaplains, you allow communication to happen while bringing peace and calm. You make sure that everyone is heard, everyone is valued, and what they're trying to say is observed correctly. Performing now begins after normalization of roles and the relationships have been established. At this point, the group can begin to perform the tasks necessary to accomplish the purpose for which they came together in the first place. This stage continues until the job is done, or the group is disbanded for any reason, or if one or more of the members of the group are replaced by somebody else. New people will cause the group to go through that storming phase again, though it may not take as long as it did before. Not all groups are successful at reaching the stage of performing. Adjourning, well, that's when the group concludes its business, disbands because their job is done. This is time for both celebration and grieving, especially if strong relationships have been built. You will participate as chaplains in a variety of groups. Some are short duration, others long duration. Short-term groups can be formed, and examples could include arranging a few meetings with key members of the patient's family so they can make end-of-life or funeral decisions. Meeting with key decision makers to help them in creation of advanced care directives. Or an ethics committee might be formed to process a decision for removing life support on a patient who has no advanced care directives and there's no immediate family available who's also authorized to make such decisions. There's a student group assignment. Sometimes when you're taking a class, the teacher will assign a project to small groups of students who work together on it. Now, we're going to be doing that very thing in this unit. A recovery group gathering regularly to talk things out and work toward a new life. Now, long-term groups can also be formed. The most obvious include things like the chaplain staff at the facility where more than one chaplain carries the work forward together. You'll be in a long-term group with them. Or an association of spiritual care providers that you might regularly collaborate with and work with who live in your community. Or often you'll participate in a spiritual care team, which may include non-chaplains and even ministry volunteers in your setting that you'll be working with on a longer-term basis. participation in the interdisciplinary team for your particular department or assignment, like the ICU, pediatrics, trauma, emergency, first responders, police, fire, jail, and many other environments. Even a church ministry where you serve as a member or leader of a team that has a specific purpose. So group communication and forming effective groups is very important to your work as a chaplain, and nonverbal skills are also important. It's an imperative for you to learn how to work well together as a team and help others do the same. As chaplains, you will engage in many short and long-term teams. Your primary role is to bring peace, calm, and facilitate shared understanding. In the reading for this week, you have a PDF document that discusses the Benny and Sheets group task roles. You should pay attention to information in that describes task roles, personal and social roles, as well as dysfunctional and individualistic roles. You should learn to identify them when you see them. Now, not every role for every category will be seen in every group. Sometimes an important role is needed for the group to succeed, but it's absent from those who are present. In such cases, how might you find someone to fill that needed role? Or could someone in the group do so perhaps temporarily? Could a new group member be recruited who has the skill to perform that role? So let's consider them briefly here. In the article by Benny and Sheets, it's found in your course material, 3 roles are described for participants or members of a group. And again, these are task roles, personal and social roles, and dysfunctional or individualistic roles. Please note that some people will perform more than one of these task, personal, or dysfunctional roles. Will you be able to identify them as you observe your group and the nonverbal communication that takes place? Let's begin with group task roles relating to getting the work done. That's the work of the project that was given them to accomplish. There were 12 possible task roles listed and explained in your reading. The initiator. They propose original ideas or different ways of approaching group problems or goals. This role initiates discussions, moves groups into new areas of exploration. The information seeker requests clarification of comments in terms of their factual accuracy. They seek expert information or facts that are relevant to the problem. They do research and determine what information is missing and what is needed to be found before they can move forward. The information giver provides factual information to the group, often seen as an authority on the subject, and relates to their own experience when it's relevant. The opinion seeker. They ask for clarification of the values, the attitudes, and the opinions of other group members. They check to make sure that different perspectives are being heard and allowed to be given. Now, the opinion giver expresses their own opinions, their own beliefs about the subject being discussed. Often, these opinions are stated in terms of what they think the group should be doing. An elaborator. They take other people's initial ideas and build on them with examples, relevant facts, and data. Also looks at the consequences of proposed ideas and actions. The coordinator identifies and explains the relationships between ideas. They may pull together a few different ideas and then make them cohesive. The orienter reviews and clarifies the group's position, provides a summary of what has been accomplished, notes where the group has veered off course, and even suggests a way to get back on target. An evaluator or critic evaluates proposals against a predetermined or objective standard. They assess the reasonableness of a proposal and look at whether it's fact-based and manageable as a solution. The energizer concentrates the group's energy on forward movement, challenges and stimulates the group to take further action. The procedural technician facilitates group discussion by taking care of logistical concerns like where meetings are to take place and what supplies are needed for each meeting. The recorder acts as the secretary or note-taker. They record ideas and keep track of what's going on, including decisions and direction that was established at each meeting. The group personal and social roles in the next category will contribute to the positive functioning of the group. The encourager, well, they affirm and support and praise efforts of fellow group members. We like to call it RAP, R-A-P, which stands for recognition, appreciation, and praise. The harmonizer conciliates differences between individuals, seeking ways to reduce tension and diffuse a situation by providing further explanations or even using humor to calm people down. The compromiser offers to change their position for the good of the group. They're willing to yield to others or meet people halfway. Wish we had more politicians that were capable of that. You know what I mean. Gatekeeper. They regulate the flow of communication. They make sure that all members have a chance to express themselves and contribute to the conversation. The observer, commentator. Well, they provide feedback to the group about what is functioning, what is not functioning. Often seen when a group wants to set or change a process. The follower. They accept what others say and decide, even though they may not have contributed to the decision or expressed their own ideas. They're seen as a listener, not a contributor. Finally, the third category is group dysfunctional and individualistic roles, which will sometimes make group interaction quite difficult. Sometimes a person will function in a dysfunctional way, so how will you handle this in a positive way? The roles could include things like the aggressor, who makes personal attacks and uses belittling or insulting comments like, well, that's a stupid idea. And the blocker. They oppose every idea and opinion that's put forward by anyone, but they refuse to make suggestions. The recognition seeker uses the group meetings to draw personal attention to themselves, sometimes bragging about their own accomplishments. The self-confessor. They use group meetings as a venue to express their personal feelings and bring up issues that may be more suited for a counseling session rather than in a group that's expected to perform a task. The disruptor does exactly that. They disrupt meetings with their desire to have fun rather than to get work done. And the dominator, they try to control conversations. They try to dictate to others what they should be doing. The help seeker actively seeks help from others by expressing inadequacy, seeking to be encouraged. They can act as if they're helpless, and they need you to help them with every task that they have been assigned. So you essentially do your task and theirs if you let them do that. Special interest pleader makes suggestions based on what others might think or feel. They avoid revealing their own ideas or opinions, like administration isn't going to go for that idea. Just be sure to work together on your project, as it is designed to help you learn to identify these roles and how to navigate group dynamics as you do so. This is an important part of chaplaincy, so please be sure to put your effort into this and meet with each other as a group in your class in order to accomplish an analysis of these roles in each other. You'll be glad you did.